This is Teresa Marie from TLMR Homes. Today our topic is relocation. Relocation takes on so many different forms. It can be everything from moving here for a job to wanting to be close to grandkids to wanting the lifestyle of Colorado. And so what we thought we'd do today is just talk through a couple of different scenarios of folks that have worked with us with relocation and tell you the experience we had and give you some ideas of the things that you can be thinking about if you're thinking about moving to Colorado. So we had a couple that just moved here from Kansas, closed on their house 2 weeks ago. So tell me a little bit about that. What did they do? What did we do to help them?
So they contacted us and their daughter was moving out here from Kansas. They knew that they wanted to be in Fort Collins. They knew that they wanted to be 20 minutes away from their grandkids, and that was basically their non-negotiable. There was no looking outside this 20-minute commute time from picking up kids from school or, being grandma and grandpa and taking them out. And so we started the conversation with them on the phone. We did a couple Zoom calls. We sent them a packet of what is in Fort Collins. And she is incredibly active and she needed bike paths and he needed walking trails. And so they then flew out and we met them for coffee and we put them on a listing drip. And it was just a very broad email that gets sent to them with all the listings that are coming in Fort Collins. And they drove around and they got to downtown and they love downtown. So we figured, okay, we need to be within 20 minutes of downtown. We then started doing video showings. And so I would go to the showing and put them on FaceTime, and we would do the showing on video so that they could see what the house looked like. And I think it was 10 houses later, they found the one that they really liked and we got under contract. We were in constant contact. When they saw something, they wanted me to go look, and I would try to get all the information that I could for them. I think that offering them the video showings was something that they didn't know was available to them, and that was very helpful. So they weren't flying or driving constantly from Kansas to back and forth to here. We put a contract in on a house that they did not see. They saw it on video, which always makes me super nervous, but they came out during inspection and they loved the house and closed 2 weeks ago. And they're super excited about being here and starting their new life here.
I think one of the things that was really helpful for them was, like you said, the constant communication, but also they had closed on the house a couple weeks before they moved here, and you helped with a lot of the things that needed to happen before they moved in, like the flooring, handyman stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that a lot of times people find the house, they want the house, and if the timing is correct, you can have a couple of things done before you start putting the furniture in. It's the easiest time to do that kind of stuff.
They had a 2-week period where nobody was there, and so they had the handyman come in and do all kinds of just little stuff to make them feel safer. And the flooring was redone and they're having new countertops put in.
So give me an example of a couple of questions that they had about the different communities when you were looking at it to help them figure out what they ended up, because they ended up in a beautiful little community, but it wasn't in Old Town. It was not in Old Town. It was in southern Fort Collins, a beautiful little community. Walk through the process of some of the questions that they asked you that you answered for them.
So they really did not want to be in traffic. So looking at different communities and the houses that they would see on the property drip, then I would have to remind them this is on a busy road or it's one street in from the busy road. Let's go listen to the traffic noise and make sure that the traffic noise was going to be doable for them. And I think they needed to feel really comfortable as they were seniors that they were close enough to a hospital and close enough to the amenities that Fort Collins had to offer and not be outside, because Fort Collins is really big. You can be up in the mountains and have a 20-minute commute to the grocery store. A lot of times our relo people don't know what's important to them until they find a house where they think it's in the community, and then they realize, oh, it's 45 minutes away from here or 20 minutes from here. And so they had time to be able to narrow down what was important to them. And it just took time for them when they were coming out here to see what they wanted.
So shifting gears a little bit, I'll talk a little bit about one of my experiences with Relo. Relo, short for relocation. I had a family that moved out here probably about 3 years ago. And they moved out here for the lifestyle. They came from Texas, really wonderful couple with a small child, and they knew that they wanted to live in the Denver area, but they really did not know what community that they wanted to be in. And so what I suggested for them, they were coming up for a few days of visit, and they drove around into the different communities that they thought would be of interest to them. The schools were super important to them. And so they had a very specific thing of which school districts that they wanted to be in. And so that helped us to narrow down the search. That's probably one of the other really big questions that we try to discern from folks is, if your kids are school age, have you taken a look at greatschools.org or gotten an idea of what the schools are like? Because they're all good, but they're very different. And so they drove around for a couple of days and figured out the general vicinity of the greater Denver metro area. And then we went on a jaunt that went on for a couple of days, just trying on different neighborhoods within this area. And it really became somewhat about the house, but more about what is available in the surrounding areas. That's something that is so subjective that you really need to experience for yourself, because something that I think is going to be great may not be something that you're interested in. And so we ended up finding them a really cool house. They're still in there today. They actually have another baby, and they are super happy in that area. But we had to kick the can on a lot of different houses before they finally landed on that one. And the whole time that we were doing that, the questions that I was asking were things like, can you see yourself living here? How far is the nearest grocery store? Do you need to be close to the schools, like within walking distance, so you can walk your child to school? Those are the kinds of questions that we help narrow that down. It's a completely different dynamic than what Marie was talking about when she was helping our clients find a home that's close to their grandkids, because it's a whole different set of circumstances. What do you think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they are moving here?
I think they don't realize how big Colorado is. And so when they say we are available to see properties from Fort Collins to Longmont. We were just in Fort Collins yesterday, and we were commenting on how many different little pockets of really beautiful neighborhoods there are in Fort Collins, where you don't even feel like you're in Fort Collins anymore. And Loveland has that, and Berthoud has that. I think people don't realize that from Longmont to Fort Collins, it's a 45-minute drive, and there's property all along the foothills and out east. You have to spend some time figuring out where you want to go. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is that they're astounded at how much room there is in between these communities.
Exactly. One of the things that I've seen with mistakes was family moving out from California, and they really wanted to live in Meade. And there was really nothing else for them other than Meade. They bought a beautiful home in Meade, a great little neighborhood, but there's nothing around this neighborhood. The nearest grocery store is 15 minutes away. Things are starting to come in now, but I think that loving the house is one piece of it, but you also have to know what's important to you outside of your house, because you're not going to stay in your house 24 hours a day. So just having a really solid sense of what community speaks to you. I think they felt a little lonely out where they were at. They just felt very cut off. And we saw that, we recognized it, but they loved the house. The house was beautiful. And they're still there. I think that they've learned to really like the area. But those are all super important things that we really try to make sure that are top of mind when you're picking a house, because there's a lot of great houses and a lot of great neighborhoods in northern Colorado. Okay, I think that's it for this one. So I'm Teresa Lomax.
I'm Marie Raines.
And we're TLMR Homes. Thanks so much for watching this video on Relo. We're gonna have a few more on this, but we definitely would love to hear from you if you're thinking about coming to Colorado. Have a great rest of your day.